You can. Okay. Everybody, please take a seat. Yes. So the way things will go for you as poster presenters, you will use this microphone that Marie-Olga is using, and you come to the stage when the other one is finished. So I'll click your presentation and you come, but you also know your number so you can prepare. This is so Marie-Olga, if everybody can sit down. Yeah, be quiet. Please go ahead. You have 3 minutes. Yeah, can you turn this on?
Now.
Yeah.
Okay, my name is Maria Olga Kokornaczek. I work in Switzerland in the Society for Cancer Research. And I'm new to the water community, so I'm very happy about this possibility to show you something about our work. This particular research was done in a comparison with Hewert Arzneimittel, and it's about analysis on low potencies. We had 5 potencies, which were prepared in 3 different variants each. The first variant was succast 100 times, the second one was succast 10 times, and we had one which was not succast, it was only slightly mixed by hand between the dilution steps. And we analyzed them by means of the droplet evaporation method. The droplet evaporation method is a self-explaining term, so I won't talk about it so much. I will just show you I will give you a view into our laboratory. So the droplets of a sample are placed on microscope slides. The slides are evaporating in a chamber with controlled humidity and temperature. And the droplet residues, which are beautiful patterns, are analyzed under a dark field microscope. And after that, they go to an image analysis, which is computer supported. We wanted to make an experimental design which would exclude a possibility of bias. So we had main experimentations where we compared the 3 variants of the sample in a certain randomization order. And each experiment has also a systematic control experiment where we analyzed only the 10 times succast variant, and we analyzed it in the same randomization design as the corresponding verum experiment. So when we had a significant difference in the main experiment and we had no difference in the control experiment, we were sure that the result depends on the sample, on the difference between the samples and not chamber gradient, for instance. In total, we had 4,026 images. Here is a sample of Baptisia 3x, so it's a 3rd decimal dilution. And you can see that the unsuccast variant is more complex than the other 2. We analyzed 5 different image parameters. Entropy, which is a textural parameter, foreground pixel and gray level distribution, which gives insight of how big the structure is, and the local connected fractal dimension and lacunarity, which are fractal parameters. And everywhere where you see the mark signs, there was a difference. Where there are 2 mark signs, there was a difference between all the variants. Where there is a green mark sign, there was a difference between the succast and unsuccast variant. And where is the yellow, there was a difference between one succast variant and the other 2. If you want to learn more, I will see you at my poster after dinner. And thank you very much.
Where's my mouth? Okay. I want to find my mouse. Here? Yeah, sorry. Okay. Olga.
How to make it full screen? How to make it full screen?
How to make this full screen? Anybody have an idea? View. Sorry, I don't know. Okay, anybody who has help and knows how to do this, just tell me. Huh? Where? Full screen mode. And where is that? Ah, yes, thank you. Good, sorry.
Hello, my name is Olga Yablonska, and my report is about physicochemical effects of humidity in an airstream that is exposed to electromagnetic energy with a wavelength in the infrared A band at about 1200 nanometers on water. We all know that radiant energy promotes exclusion zone water, and infrared light is one of the most powerful sources in this sense. So we use nano-V technology in our study as a possible source of coherent phase. Nano-V technology involves production of air humidity with a compressor type evaporator, and then this vapor is being treated with infrared light at about 1200 nanometers. And this device is designed as an inhalator, and people are supposed to inhale the vapor for their well-being. An important issue is that singlet oxygen, a very common reactive oxygen species with very many functions, emits phosphorescence very closely at 1268 nanometers. And in our physicochemical study, we treated water samples with the vapor treated with nano-V. So what we did first is titration of bicarbonate and phosphate buffers with acid and alkali. Here are the results with only with bicarbonate buffer. And this simple method luckily allowed us to trace the increase of buffer capacity in our models. The next thing we did, we measured electrical conductivity in pure water, and we see that there's, in these two graphs, this is the control and these are the test samples. So we see that in case of treatment with nano-V vapor, electrical conductivity changes, the graph is different compared to that of in controls, and all these changes, all these differences can be attributed to any of this list of possible reasons. So the next thing we did was we added microspheres or glycine into water treated with nano-V vapor, and then we applied this water as droplets on glass slides, waited for these droplets to dry out, and then we used the microscope to watch to observe these droplets, and we see that there is difference in the patterns of microsphere distribution in controls and in samples that were treated with nano-V. Also, in case of crystallization of glycine, there's also difference between control and the test sample that was treated with nano-V. So we suggest that nano-V vapor, which is actually the air humidity treated with infrared light of a wavelength very close to that of singlet oxygen emission, causes structural and dynamical shifts in water. For more details, please welcome to our poster.
Thank you. Well done. Okay, the third one is Paolo Renati. So I'll show you the slides. Yes. And you use this. And yeah, it works. Okay, good.
Thank you. Yes. Very quickly, I try to synthesize because it's this a poster that is related to a paper that we just published this summer. The title is this one: investigating pure molecule water by near-infrared light. We focused on the first overtone between 1300 and 1600 nanometers, and we are able to see a clear isosbestic point region that witnesses the fact that two kinds of oscillators exist that contribute to the shape of the spectrum. We tested several temperatures in a range from 20 to 74 degrees, and the other curves that you see are the second derivative of the spectrum. As you can see, there are two peaks that witnesses exactly that there are two kinds of oscillator, two populations. As you can see, increasing the temperature, one population is depleted, the other one is increased. We tried to divide the spectra into regions divided by the isosbestic wavelength, and try to weight the ratios of the two populations at the different temperatures. What comes out is that if we relate the area of each one of the two parts to the actually the spectral intensity that is the amount of each one of the two populations, we are able to see that using the Van 't Hoff law, the Van 't Hoff plot, that the energy difference between the two states, being this plot a line, is independent on temperature. And this is pretty interesting because if the two populations were just two configurations of the Sticks and ball hydrogen bond, both of them should be affected by the temperature, but this doesn't happen. So we find that the angular coefficient, so the slope of this line that is shown as the enthalpy and the intercept, it tells us two interesting things. The first is that this value is that represents the difference in energy between the two states is pretty matchable with the quantum electrodynamics prediction. And the other interesting aspect is that almost the 75% of this energy difference is entropical, as pertain to an entropical differences. So it means that the two phases have a very different degree of order. If we add other data that pertains to making the log-log plot of the ratio of one spectral area with respect to the total and the log of the temperature, as you can see, there is a pretty linear plot. And as the last works of Vitiello witnesses, when you have a linear trend in a log-log plot, it means that you are dealing with a fractal self-similar system, of which has been demonstrated the isomorphism with the squeezed coherent states. So we are pretty confident to be able to say that liquid water is a two-phase liquid, and one of these two phases is a coherent phase, because otherwise the energy difference between the two populations wouldn't depend on temperature, and the slope is pretty near to the prediction of quantum electrodynamics. So just to conclude, I think that I'm very happy, because this here I began to hear more and more the fact that the word coherence and the fact that water is for sure constituted by an ordered, very ordered phase. Remember that coherent is a dynamical state, so coherence domains are not balls, bulky balls, that they are just a region of space-time where a self-trapped field is in tune with molecules, okay? So I couldn't say anything more, so thank you for your attention.
First time ever he couldn't say more. Okay. The next is Carlos. Welcome, Carlos.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for being here. Thank you, Gerald, and thank you, everyone, again. We're going to talk about something exciting, and Paolo just mentioned it, coherence. We got the integration of energy through coherence so that we can have congruency. And to do that, we're going to do a demonstration. And Almut Gosler, who is right here with me, she's going to do that. I'm just going to introduce the topic. Oh, sorry. Can you pass the next one? Sorry, we're losing time.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Here it is. 2 years ago, I had the pleasure of sharing with you a drawing, and I gave this drawing to a lot of you. And that has evolved. This is the coherence part, and the one to the right is the congruency. And this is mediated by the greatest energy that influences all living beings, including water, and that is the power of love. And with that, we're going to ask Almut to do a demonstration of how amazing love is when you put it at the right time, in the right place, and give it to the right person, starting with you. Okay? So you can go. No, you can go.
Hello, I'm Almut. I have got 1 minute to show you to do an energy field in just a minute. Oh. Hello? Okay. That's energy. So I will do it with this whiteboard. I just have got a red tape, so everybody can see what I'm doing. So, I need just 4 little stripes of masking tape. You can do it with any material. You can use white masking tape. You can use for lemons, for mandarins, for a glass of water, whatever, just 4. So, this can be your room at home, your house, and I use just this little thing. So I just put one of these masking tapes in one edge. Then I use the coherence key with the side where the 22 hearts are, and I energize it. 1 second or 2 seconds, and it's already energized. Okay? Okay. Then I put the next one diagonal from the first one. And this one is charging this one. And this one communicates with this tape, and this one answers. It's vortex energy. Then I put the third one wherever I want to. And then the fourth one. Now we have got this energy field. So, Gerald, would you like to come up here to test if it works? Or it's just nonsense? Okay. So, you just go a little bit so they can see you. I just make a kinesiological test. Maybe you just hold here. Yes, maybe you are loaded, so you have to unload because this is metal.
Okay.
Okay, so you leave it. Okay, go a little bit here. Then just put your fingertips together, maybe these two fingers, and I just check if there's any force or strength. Just hold it, and he's not very strong, right? Okay. Now I ask him to step into the field, inside. Just step into the field. Okay. And you know any difference?
There's a difference.
There's a big difference. When he is strong, all the cells are communicating. And when he's weak, just a few cells are communicating. And that's the whole secret of this. Thank you.
Thank you for conferring strength.
Okay.
Just a quick thing. This is for Rupert Sheldrake. He talks about morphic fields. When we add water, when we put water inside the field, we send the sample, we send the key to coherence to Hiro Emoto in Japan and ask him to do an experiment, and this is the result. The quantum field basically is found here in the water drop, and this is a water crystal. And as you can see, it's quadrangular. It's got 1, 2, 3, 4 sides, which is exactly what Almut did with the red tape. So we are actually imprinting the field within the water. And this is something that we thank you for that, Rupert, because you have done a great contribution with the morphic fields. And this is one way of showing that is true. So the last bit, and we just need to go, because the conclusion is that this could well be easy water. And this is amazing because now we have a portable way of making it, and we establish a connection with the body. So this is coherence.
Easy water, just like that.
It's easy. Thank you.
Easy coffee also.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. The Water Journal. Yes. Welcome, Igor and Lara. You can use 2 mics, or this one. And these are the buttons. Or you can use the computer. Good luck.
Okay, so I will say something about Water Journal that I hope you all know. With me here is Laura Colton. She's managing editor, and of course we all know the chief in editor. This is Professor Gerald Pollack. So let's see, this is next. So at this water conference, many of us share our research, our studies, and our experiments, and also beauties that are connected with water and its mystery. And if anybody of you feels inspired to contribute his or her research results or some ideas and so on, or considerations to the broader scientific community, we have good news for you. One of the best and easiest way to contribute to either publish is to either publish the work in the Water Journal or check our publications frequently and help us spread the word of numerous exciting scientific findings of water published in the Water Journal. Here I must say that the Water Journal is, I would say, the most open journal devoted to water. There are many scientific journals that are devoted to water science, to water research, but I did not find any who would be really so open to the, let's say, new science of water. So this is a central hub for these new discoveries. And it is free of charge and in open access. And you can see its website address. The topics include chemistry of water, physics of water, biology, animal biology, plants, whatever else, so that the list can go on and on and on. And as I told you, it tackles also the, something that can be called unconventional science, and this, I think, is the biggest, how to say, worth of this journal. Sorry? Okay. So now the Water Journal has been with us for 10 years, so that the 11th volume is just to be published, and you can see certain articles that will appear soon. And some of the author of these articles are also among us, but I think we don't have time to go into this. This on the poster, yeah, just mention.
I would like to mention to go back a couple of volumes to check out the article by Rupert Sheldrake. You will find his article in there, and you will be able to read more of that. So I want to point that out. Check them out.
Okay, the journal is evolving in the sense of scientific rigor and qualified peer reviews, but at the same time, it retains its openness, to open-mindedness, to new discoveries, to new research, to the unconventional science. The articles are cited in many bases, like Google Scholar, for instance. And the summary of this conference will appear in the next volume. So we would like to encourage researchers to publish the research in the journal, and the manuscript will go through editorial validation and a fair scientific review process. And more on the this, yeah.
The Water Journal is very important. Next is Veda. Which one did you want first? The hand. Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, it is a link. Where's your USB stick? Okay.
I don't have it.
Oh, you don't have it. Okay.
So, yep, we don't have any imagery at all, I'm afraid. But Igor was just talking about unconventional science, and here I am, Exhibit A. So my name is Veda Austin, and I come from New Zealand. And my poster is out there, and you'll have to go and have a look at it. But basically, it displays images of water in its crystallographic phase after it's been influenced by something. That something can be words, it can be thoughts, it can be music. And so I really wanted to see if the external environment influences the internal environment of water. So 7 years ago, I was very much influenced by Emoto and Laurent Costa. And I wanted to see for myself, really, can water display visual memory at all on the surface of ice? So back then, I didn't have a microscope. I was kind of working with what I had. So I had this Petri dish, so I put some water in the Petri dish, and I thought, well, I'm just going to influence it somehow, and I'll freeze it, and I'll see what happens. But there was some fluff in the Petri dish, and I'm like, oh, God. So I put my hand in to take the fluff out, and I consciously thought, I wonder if my hand will impact the water's memory. I put it into the freezer, and when I pulled it out, I really was flabbergasted. What I saw was an X-ray-like image of a hand that took up almost the entire petri dish. There are photos of it on the poster, and we've got also booklets that you can go and have a look at. It was so clear and so visual, and I was really surprised. So basically, I kind of thought, well, you know, is it just me? And then Laura Colton, my colleague, she kindly came on board and thought, well, you know, let's have a go. And so she influenced water by putting it next to a bowl of fruit. And her image in the ice is a very, very clear apple. Now, I really wonder about this. I wonder when I look into a puddle of water, we've all done this, we've all seen this. You know, we see clouds, we see ourselves reflected in the water, we see the environment reflected in the water. So what if the water isn't just reflecting the environment in imagery? What if it's absorbing the imagery? And when given a conducive environment, as it begins to freeze, but before it's frozen, we all know the water becomes more ordered. Then what if it is able to then express itself, express that imagery in a visual, macroscopic way? This is certainly what I'm seeing and observing. I have 15,000 photographs of images that have been exposed to things, and that the image resembles what it was exposed to. So I cannot sit here and tell you exactly how this is happening, but I'm an observer of water and an observer of people. And so what I would really love to see is if anybody could come to me and give me suggestions and ideas of how this might be happening. And also, if you would like to know anything more, contact me. Laura's got brochures over there, and certainly go and have a look at the poster. Thank you so much.
Sorry. Well done. Thank you. George Wiseman. You can use this. Oh no, you don't need it.
Yeah.
This is a pointer. Yeah.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Hello, everyone. As you can see, in America, they call this a cowboy. I grew up on a cattle ranch, and on a cattle ranch, we learned how to innovate and make do with what was. Where I grew up, we used outhouses, and we had no electricity or radio or anything. We rode horses, and essentially, I learned how to fix things and build things, and eventually, I left the ranch and I became an inventor, and I needed to build a machine that would make a gas that would replace acetylene, which ended up being the machine that would make these pictures here, on the poster, which would, what we call a Brown's gas, allowed us to replace acetylene with a gas that cost 2% of the same, but did all the things that acetylene would do better. We didn't know at the time all the other uses of the gas, and we found that there was a unique characteristic of the gas. It actually, as we split water into hydrogen and oxygen with the special electrolyzers that we had developed, the third gas was formed. So we have the hydrogen off the cathode, the oxygen off the anode, and a third gas that comes directly out of the middle of the fluid. We initially discovered this when we went looking for an anomaly that we were discovering, in that we were producing 30% more gas than is theoretically possible. So we needed to find out why that was, and I'll talk more about that in the lecture tomorrow. But we have, in the gas here, we developed what was called we found electrically expanded water. And that is an energized form of water, a plasma form of water, that enhances the gas considerably. So you're able to cut steel 30% faster than acetylene, for example, and then we could put it in internal combustion engines to act like a catalyst to burn fossil fuels, between 25 and 50% more efficiently. So you go that much further on a gallon of gas or diesel. And you could put it in external combustion as well to enhance the flame. Then we found that if you put this in crops, if you fed this water to crops, they grew in the ground 3 times better, in hydroponics 10 times faster in the same amount of time. And then we, in aquaculture with fish, we found that the fish would grow 3 times faster in the same amount of time with this gas. And then we went into for humans. And I'll let Elke, who is coming up next, discuss that particular aspect. I wasn't seriously prepared with a nice presentation, so we just put up the poster. It's the first time at this particular conference. I apologize. We would do better the next time. In any case, I hope that you find this interesting and my talk interesting, and there's a lot of things more on the internet that you can reference.
Thank you. Right on time, so. Yeah, of course.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Elke Mohaupt. I'm a physician from Germany. And I have to apologize. Also, I didn't get the information that I can prepare a presentation, so you have to see only the poster. With my poster, I try to give an answer to the question, is Brown's gas superior for Earth compared to pure molecular hydrogen? As George already said, Brown's gas is made by water electrolysis and is not divided into hydrogen and oxygen. The gas as a whole consists of a bigger part hydrogen, a smaller part oxygen, and in green you see a very small part, but interesting part of other gases. We begin with a blue column. Hydrogen already is known for its benefits for Earth because it eliminates the toxic ROS, the reactive oxygen species. It has so many good properties for human cells. You can read on my poster afterwards. And hydrogen already is used for deep diving as a technical gas. It is used for wellness in Asia, and it is approved from the Japanese government for treatment for people with severe diseases. The good properties of hydrogen are due to its very small size, because so it reaches the cells and even there the nucleolus and the mitochondria. Meanwhile, we have 1,070 studies with hydrogen with positive results in about 170 diseases, and this without side effects and without overdosage symptoms. Now to the red column, the oxygen. I don't speak so much because it is already known as a therapeutic gas. We use it in a hospital, we use it at home for patients. And we, as a doctor, we use it, we like to use it in emergency cases. But it might be detrimental for patients because with a huge amount of oxygen, we produce a huge amount of reactive oxygen species. And this leads to more complications, a higher infarct size, more arrhythmias, and at least a higher mortality. That's why it might be a good idea to combine the hydrogen with the oxygen with Brown's gas, because hydrogen might compensate the negative effects of pure oxygen gas. And now to the green column. I don't say so much because George has already told you about the XW, the electrically expanded water. The imagination is there are so many bioavailable electrons, and all living things, plants, animals, and even human can use these bioavailable electrons for their own energy metabolism. And there are an amount of studies with Brown's gas, mostly in Asia. But the funny thing is, the researchers don't know that they used Brown's gas. They only focused on hydrogen. So they describe in their studies we used 67% hydrogen, 33% oxygen, and they don't know that it is not only hydrogen and oxygen, but it is a gas which consists also from these XW. And the special thing is that these studies have amazing results. For example, I only show you 2 publications. One is a study, one is a case report. The study have shown a reduction of tumor growth, it was an animal study, of 32% in 6 weeks. I can go into in detail later if you ask me on my poster. And the other thing is a case report of a 72-year-old Chinese woman with an advanced metastatic gallbladder carcinoma. She was sent to hospital for a palliative treatment, but she decided only to breathe brown gas, and she left the hospital and she was able to live a normal life. And I was astonished about it. And so I can say these results are unexpected due to the severity of the diseases. And my own experiences you see on the lower part. I use brown gas only for my own family, for good friends, for relatives, and I use the device from George Weissman, the AquaCure. And my experiences are that the good results are to be shown or to be recognized.
Leave something as at the poster, because this is...
Yes, okay. Good.
This is the cliffhanger.
Oh, okay. Only the last sentence. I hope that brown gas will find its way into the conventional medicine. Till now, it isn't. Thank you.
You are on your own.
How dare you? How dare you? A 16-year-old girl gets the world attention, and instead of saying something like, oh, I'm Greta Thunberg, and I would like to ask a question to the adult world. That's not what she did. She said, how dare you? Very aggressive. I know all the stories about Greta Thunberg and her father and all that stuff, but I focused on what she said. And because I'm also a brown gas researcher, I must admit that she's right. Brown gas is something that is known for 50 years, 50 years. And just to give you an idea what it is, brown gas, there is no carbon involved. Simply. When there is no carbon involved, you do not have CO2, you do not have CO, HC, all that stuff. It's not there. So every time I hear that there is an international meeting every year of scientists and politics, and they talk about the reduction of CO2, it makes me smile, because in my technology there is no CO2. I don't have it. It doesn't exist. Second example, or second thought about that is brown gas is able to burn without our breathable air. It doesn't need it. It has its own oxygen. Now, who is the biggest oxygen producer on Earth? I'm sure you know it. The ocean, the plankton. And how much of the plankton is already gone? You know it. How much? 50% of the plankton is gone. So what Greta said is we are in the beginning of a mass extinction. She's right. Of course it was painful for us to hear that a 16-year-old girl lectures us. But I think that HHO or brown gas is a solution for the future. just because of the two reasons that I just mentioned. And there are many more reasons. And I want to become Brown's gas or HHO the technology for the future. And if you want to use it, if you want to get closer to this, if you want to know more about it, how you can enter this world, visit me at my poster. Thank you.
Thank you. Right on time. Ted, Coffin. Okay, yeah. Yeah, it's there, yeah. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah, yeah. It always gets extended when I play, when somebody else plays a thing. So the cursor is here, but you can click here. Yeah? You can just click, yeah, yeah. Okay, go ahead. Good luck. Go ahead.
So it's an honor and a pleasure to hear so many splendid talks on water, its many properties, energies that affect it, and the implications on health and well-being. We have been observing many of these phenomena with our group of test horses for many years now, and I think we've been showing on a macro level a lot of what has been shown here on a micro level. My name is Tad Kaufman. This is my lovely wife, Kelly. I'm not a scientist. I'm an Olympic equestrian athlete, and I'm mostly a careful observer of horses, horse behavior, horse performance, and horse well-being. I've been involved with the saddle industry now, both as a designer and a manufacturer, for nearly 40 years. For the past 27 years, I've run my own research and development effort to find an improved saddle with a more sophisticated biomechanical capability. We've created an ideal test facility, which under one roof, we have a group of carefully managed horses in which we control all of their variables and observe their reactions to our nearly 4,000 experiments. We observe their reactions both in the stable and in ridden conditions, and they are our guides. In 2009, we changed materials in the saddle tree, which is the substructure, to a thermoformable acrylic alloy with very specific geometry and tuned with carbon fiber, and it yielded specific and remarkable performance improvements, and along with that came some strange, wonderful, but unanticipated phenomena. We noticed in our group of test horses dramatic improvements in their level of relaxation, reduction of inflammation, significant pain relief, an absence of digestive disorders, improved cardiovascular functioning, lower heart rates, faster recovery, improved joint mobility, and muscle suppleness and strength. Their coat and skin quality improved, and we felt that the common denominator was improved hydration, which led us to Dr. Gerald Pollack. Our hypothesis is that the combination of geometry, materials, and processes that we use creates voltage by means of a piezoelectric effect, which is re-radiated as an electromagnetic field in the infrared spectrum, and it creates properties in water that share similarities with fourth phase water. We believe that this technology, because it requires no wires, batteries, or magnets, can be used in the future for the production of easy water in both bodies of water, in containers of water, and also water that is in certain foods. Thank you for your attention.
Perfect. Thank you. Kang Ming. Yeah, okay. Now I know what to do. Oh. Not really. All the time my screen is switched to duplicate and not duplicate, so bear with me. Yes, good luck.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. I'm Tang Mingru, come from National Taiwan University. I'm so glad to be here to share my work with everybody here. This work is inspired by Professor Paula and Professor Ren Chenshen from Peking University. The target in this work is to, we want to explore a force which may be ignored for a long time, named as torsion field. Yeah. So we just start from the method of this work. First, the suspension solution was injected into the chamber, and one side of this chamber was sealed by a glass. Then the nephew membrane was inserted into this chamber. Immediately after, this chamber was put on a stage. Then the light was come from the bottom. There have two orthogonal arranged microscopes to record our experiment. The third picture in the method is to introduce how can we calculate the easy width from the top view. Then next, I want to introduce the behavior of easy water from side view. We can see the picture. When the nephew membrane was inserted into the suspension solution, the easy water developed very fast, and it flowed up to the top of suspension solution. And those easy water, like a seed, and attract more normal water into easy water. And so the gray area become larger and larger. The black area becomes smaller. In the end of our experiment, it becomes to a beautiful pattern, like a cross, yeah, in the figure number 11. Yeah. And next, I want to introduce the experiment from top view. In the right side, the first figure, they have 24 samples. It's recorded from the top side, and we define the easy width at a time equal to 360 seconds as an unit. And we only focus on the expansion ratio in the end of our experiment. So the black line is the linear square fitting. And we can see if the napping quality is better, then the easy width at 360 seconds will be larger, and the extension ability will be larger too. So this black line is also serve as a reference for the following experiment. For the second picture, in the right side, they have two different A side and B side. The A side and B side means the easy facing or not facing to the generator. So we can see the red line. When the easy water facing to the generator, it will be influence. It will be affect. Influence. And so when the easy water is thicker, the extension ability will be poor. Now we go to the third picture. It is 3 micrometer nanoband IR light source. No matter in A side or B side, the extension ability will be help. In the end, we go into the left-hand and right-handed torsion field generator. We can see the picture in last two figures. The A side and B side characteristics are totally different to the control group. So we can preliminarily conclude that the torsion field exists, but we still need more work to understand the characteristic of this field. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Alexander? Alexander Tournier and Sandra Voetenberger. Yep, you can use this and this. Good luck.
And me, we try the big challenge to split 3 minutes in two parts. And before Alex will tell you a few words about the content of our poster, I will tell you a few words about our cooperation, because the main scientific home base of all researchers which participated on this project are basic research in homeopathy or complementary medicine. Our poster is about a big review project we were working on now. I think it's exactly 6 years. And we published already 2 publications. We are working on our 3rd publication now at the moment. We, the core group of this review, are Sabine Klein. Her background is chemistry, and she's associated at the University of Bern. Then me, Sandra Württemberger, I'm a physicist, and I was working the main time in the homeopathic industry. I'm now working for the Software AG Foundation in Germany as a project manager for complementary medicine. Ursula Wolf, she's our supervisor. She's professor, medical doctor, and head of the Institute of Complementary Medicine at the University of Bern. Stefan Baumgartner, also physicist, he is affiliated at the University of Witten, the University of Bern, and head of the research department at the Society for Cancer Research in Switzerland. And last but not least, Alex Tournier, also physicist. He is the head of the Homeopathy Research Institute in London and the founder of the Water Research Lab in Heidelberg. Our review is about all physicochemical investigations which were ever published to examine homeopathic or homeopathically prepared remedies or substances. Yes.
Thank you, Sandra, for the introduction and for setting the show. So to tell you, so we wanted to really find out what have we learned from 100 years of physical and chemistry investigations in homeopathy. To put it short, we found some 200 publications we could find on the topic. This is what's happened over time, the number of publications per year, and we see that the quality and the number has increased dramatically since 2000. And the quality is in blue here, and this is what we call a manuscript information score, which gave us a minimum amount of information a manuscript had to have for us to include it. And then you'll have to come for the poster for most of the details, but then we went and analyzed these 200 papers in terms of all the experiments they contained and extracted all the specifics of all the experiments in terms of what techniques they used, what type of statistics, blinding, randomization, and so on, and whether they found positive or negative results. And in the end of all this, we were able to extract a score that told us which experiments had the most experiments been done, had the best methodologies applied, so randomization, blinding, statistics, and also produced positive results that would tell us basically a scoring of which experiments we thought should be reproduced in homeopathy as a priority. So please come and see our posters. We extracted a lot of information from all these articles which are useful for further research. Thank you.
You didn't get half. You didn't get half, so I gave you a little longer. Thank you. Okay, so let's see. What do we have left? Now, no, we still have Friedrich Madler here. Okay, so I need to move my mouse there again. Does somebody have a shortcut for making a screen not duplicate? Where's my mouse? if you wish, you can start talking.
Okay.
Friedrich.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for staying. My name is Fritz Mädler. My co-author is Joachim Luke Althoff. He's over there from Idstein Taunus. It's not very far from here. We would like to tell you how we got along with the mind-matter puzzle. In January, one night, okay. Well, I'm sorry, we expected something different. Now we have to live with this. One night in January, a really strange prism grew on the balcony of my co-author Joachim in Idstein, next door quasi. And you can see that it is a prism. It has a lot of regularity, symmetry, and it is about 6 centimeters high. No, this is the second one. I need the first one. So we didn't know what is it. I sent the photos to Professor Pollack, and he said, oh, this is unusual. Why don't you come and contribute with the poster? And this is why I'm here. It's normal ice spikes. You might have seen them. They are not really rare, but they are weird structures. And higher symmetries like ours are not so frequent. We only found one cuboid and one pyramid on the internet. A second aspect came from Valery Shalatonin in Belarus State University. He drew our attention to the date. The 19th of January, Orthodox Christians have the highest feast during the liturgical year. Millions of believers, 200 or 300 millions of believers, pray for water to become holy and imbued with special properties. They call it the Great Water Blessing. It's popular and done. It starts the night before the 19th, the night before the prism grew. So these two things, the higher symmetry, are normal, and the specific timing made us assume a mind-matter interaction. And this is what we in the left column, we discussed this and say why we assume a mind-matter action. We posed the problem into the model of Jung and Pauli, Wolfgang Pauli, the quantum physicist, and Carl Gustav Jung, the psychologist, because they have a one-world model which provides a concept to relate mind and matter beyond reality, beyond causality, I should say. And so in this middle column, we go to the roots. We went to see the editor of the letters of Jung and Pauli, Harald Atmansbacher. He has written an article in Journal of Consciousness, and from this article we extracted a fairly general definition of synchronicity. And then we give a classic example on our poster how this definition works. And the third column of our poster, we verify that the ice prism, the Idstein ice prism, really is a synchronicity. So if I now could have the second slide. We would like to show you what this definition achieves. And it might surprise you.
Oh, gosh.
Yes, the
it
one
was
on the
stuck,
right. That's
so
it.
I had to do it again. Okay.
Yes, well, 16 blue dots stand for a verified synchronicity, and about the half of these synchronicities is related to water, and some of them might look familiar to you. In particular, this is a CymaScope image John Reed talked about last year. It is the image of the voice of a spiritual singer. And we can verify with the definition that this is a synchronicity. And there are also non-synchronicities. You might know the General Consciousness Project. They have observed 500 world events which disturb the random noise generators in their normal work. And this also is mind-matter interaction because it's considered mind-matter interaction because it is highly significant, but according to our definition, it's not synchronicity. So do come and ask us at our poster. We promise some interesting science at the border between matter and mind. And besides, it's an interesting and real story only life itself can come up with. Thank you very much.
Yes. Apologies for all this stuff, but it's going, all my computers adjusting to every type of poster and file, so and sometimes automatically, unfortunately. Yeah, and you didn't hear, so you have your stick now.
Oh, you do it.
I do it, no, of course. Go ahead, go ahead. And you said it was water?
No, poster.
Poster.
Well, thank you all for staying. I can entertain you while the computer geeks over here figure out our modern technology. I've been working with Lee Lorenzen for the last 2 years, and we've been characterizing his magic structured water. We've heard a lot about structured water, and we're going to give you a 3-minute summary of our research on the biological effects and the physical characterization.
Good afternoon. 30 years ago, I was a researcher at the University of California, Irvine, in pharmacology, when I got the news that my wife was very ill with a mitochondrial disease, which resulted in her being bedridden. And we exhausted every medication, every therapy possible, and I was fortunate enough to call Dr. Jacques Benveniste. And he helped me and guided me. And I worked with him for quite a few years, and he served on as an advisor to me. And we found healing signatures in various springs, like Lourdes, Kiromizu, and Teclote, using NMR, nuclear magnetic resonance. And I duplicated those signatures, made it in a laboratory in San Diego, gave it to my wife, and she got well. So we've been married 43 years, and she's healthy and doing great. So what we're doing now is creating a lot of different studies to look at the biological effects. And there we go. And in 2004, the journal Science, called water clusters the breakthrough of the year. And what we're doing is creating structures using these clusters. And but since 2004, science has actually recognized that water has organization, which is really not known to most people in the United States. And what we embarked on a number of major studies, accelerated wound healing with Amy Limoges, University of Carr, rapid exercise recovery by Professor Moore at UC Berkeley, glucose metabolism and diabetes at University of California, Irvine, improved immune function by Wong Van Duke, University of Southern California, and accelerated recovery by Bruce O'Dell. So we now manufacture a number of different solutions. I'm sorry with this, it's working, but in China we did a 336 patient study in 5 hospitals and found by either giving them a structured water or distilled water, they had completely different outcomes. Okay, sorry, let's go to the next one. There we go. As you can see, cell capacitance, if they drank distilled water, their blood sugars got worse and their condition got worse. If they drank a structured water, they actually improved. So, we also did oral administration of water clusters in mice. We doubled their stamina in a mouse swimming model, and this is published. In mixed martial arts fighters, we more than increased phase angle in 11% of highly trained athletes. So now that we have a lot of clinical data, Professor Ryan came to help me look at how we could confirm more of the structure of what these solutions are all about.
And in reference to the current research that we're doing, we are measuring the physical chemical properties. It started with the NMR, as Lee said, but we now did a comparison between NMR data and pH. This original NMR data was done in China, published in Chinese, and the Chinese concluded that this particular form of NMR, 017 NMR spectroscopy, correlated with the structure. So we wanted to reproduce that in America. We found a lab in San Diego which would do that, measure the half-width peak, and the corresponding values are presented here on two different kinds of water with the same chemistry, but one is structured on the left, and the one on the right was that water which was boiled and destructured. And you can see the independent of pH, the structured water contains this rather large NMR peak, and the destructured water does not. Then we decided to compare different types of waters, and as an example, we have structured water on the left, and the far right is the destructured water, and there's a ionized commercial water in the middle. The blue bar on the left is the NMR, and the red bar is the electrical impedance spectroscopy that we use in our lab, which is different, similar but different to the one that Serge uses. Serge uses the galvanostatic mode, and I use the potentiostatic mode. And you can see there's a direct correlation between those two measurements and the degree of structuring, and that the commercial available water has absolutely no NMR peak, but has a significant EIS peak. And that's the bottom line. And come visit our poster. Thank you.
Yes. Okay, then there was, thank you. I'll get that for you later. This guy? Okay. Okay, here. This one?
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead.
Thank you.
And here is the pointer, and you can use this, and you can also use back neck. Yeah.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm from China. I founded and operate two companies related to the water business. One of the company is the largest research and development and the manufacture of pure water treatment chemicals in China. I believe that with the help of water, various frequencies, and the types of waves, resonance, consciousness, etc., among these infinite possibilities, we have the opportunity to create great benefits for mankind and the earth and even the universe. I'm going to set up a company to focus on R&D and commercialization in this field. I believe that this objective will be achieved under the guidance of love and compassion. If you have a background in the chemistry, biology, environment, medicine, etc., and have a strong interest in our goals, I sincerely invite you to join our research and development team. That's my information. I live in Guangzhou City, China. At this time, especially thanks for Professor Parker. And thank you all for your attention. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I'll give you your stick. Good. Changed again to this. Yes, you want to just speak, so go ahead.
I was not really prepared, so I have nothing to show, but I can tell you something. My name is Mario Malbascha. I am here from Germany, and I am the founder of I Am Water, and collaborating with Germany's leading water refinement system, and I created this platform to inform the people that water is not really water, and I want to focus on also the younger people with my Instagram account. And I have a poster session here, and the system we use is we purify the water with 6 steps, and then we have a material change to stainless steel in medicine quality. So after the filtration, the water is not contacting plastic anymore. So it's really clean, and the special thing about our stainless steel hose is that it's able to spin the water in both directions, so we don't say spin left or right. And after this step, we neutralize the pH level, and then we have a GAM block from Philips, a UVC GAM block. And after this step, we restructure the water with bioceramics. And the last step is a 1.2 meters long stainless steel hole, which is imitating a river flow of 2.4 kilometers. And I would like to invite you to try my water. Maybe you saw some blue bottles here, and I have something left. And yeah, see you at the poster session.
Hello, my name is Anton, and I have 2 news for you. One good, another is different. So, which one you like? Okay, good one first. Remember yesterday Serge was presenting about his device, how it's possible to measure the effect of consciousness on the water. And he was also mentioning the AquaSci platform, where we can perform online experiments. So good thing is yesterday we were able to do the online experiment. So it's online, but there is a real device, which now is in Stuttgart, connected to this platform, and which always continuously measuring the state of the water. And in this experiment, you can see here the data. Experiment, like measurements here shown 2 hours before the actual session, the white area. And you can see here graphics from the 2 channels of the water, one and another. And this is electric conductivity of the water. Experiment started where the gray area starts, and during this time, people who were participating were influencing like the image of the real water of the channel number 2, the black graph we can see. And it's really reacted. This is a good news. The different news, the bad news, that like almost none of you participated yet. So I would like you to invite to this platform to register and participate, because today we also will have this experiment. So you can see here the aquasite.com, just like log in like usual website, then scroll a little bit down, you will see the scheduled experiments. This one for today, like Jeremy scheduled it. It will be at 9 p.m. You can do it through your phone, through your computer. Also, at this time, the poster station will be finished, and we will have like small group, like gathered around like one computer. So if you don't have your computer or laptop, you can meet us at the poster station and participate in this experiment together as a group. Also, a little bit more about this platform, that you can also organize your own experiments. You can go and book device. Again, device always running. You can go and book your own time, so nobody else will be able to use the device during book time. And you can do the personal training. Like only you will be having access to this device, and you will be able to concentrate. This is how it looks the session. You concentrate on the water sample, and you will see the live feedback of your influence. So you can do the personal training, you'll have a score, you can do as many experiments as you want, so it's free. And you also can organize the experiments in group. So you can invite your community, you can like create kind of like a game, not a game, but experiment, and invite like people you want to this experiment. So we invite everybody today to join the session. Thank you very much.
Anna?
Good afternoon. Yesterday with Enrica Bacchia we have presented the consciousness theater of being and intuition. And today just a short step inside the research which is beyond all the performance and all our research, all our projects, and it regards that, again, intuition, intuitive intelligence, which is strictly connected in synchrony with the intelligence of life. If we really enter the status of consciousness where we can live completely our linear logic and dual thinking, and we can enter in an analogical way of seeing and intuiting, everything changes for us. And most of all, we can see what happens to our voice, where if there is a normal sonogram of our voice, it looks like this. On the next slide, we can see that in our intuitive insight, and the next, please, our voice can reach this can present only 2 pure peaks of frequencies, which I've called pure frequencies of the voice, and they are terribly effective on the possibility to recreate the biological energy and the status of biological balance of our organism. But I don't want to stop here, but because there is something more interesting that I want to share with you shortly, and it is, imagine people working with voice in intuitive intelligence. There is can we go to the previous slide only from the choir? Can we see the previous slide? If one voice presents only 2 or 3 single peaks of voice, the extraordinary effect is that here there are 5 voices, a choir singing 5 voices, and the microphone registers only the 2 pure peaks of voice. When they are in the intuitive intelligence, in that they are practicing that kind of non-linear communication. If we go on and we see the next slides, we can see that sometime while the choir are are working in intuitive intelligence, and I don't mean a choir, a special choir, which is normally singing more voices, but a choir made of persons as we are here, and we are training the intuitive intelligence. We present to some person images like this here. Instead of to have a score of music, they have to give voice to an image simple like this. And if I are really out of their linear thinking, and they don't think that they have to be particularly efficient or something, or doing something to be particularly effective on the others, and they really just only give voice to the frequencies which emerge from the image, the other person, we are only hearing this performance, let's call it performance, that are only hearing, they are perfectly able to recognize the image which they didn't see, but they have perceived only the frequencies sung for the voices, and they're able to recognize completely the image that has been sung. So imagine, and this is the conclusion, how can change our communication for us, human beings, which are communicating always through images. If it is possible to reach this kind of specificity and comprehension, how can our intuitive intelligence bring a real new kind of communication and understanding? Thank you.
So I think the poster presenters need a big round of applause, all of them together, for doing this enormous task of 3 minutes. Yeah, so welcome at the poster session tonight. They will be able to present their real work together on a one-on-one sessions. And tomorrow night there will be the poster prize presentation. And we have a qualified committee looking at each of your posters. Okay, have a nice dinner. Thank you.